convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you.
Every step of the way.
What's the location of your emergency? I think my kid OD'd.
Hi, I'm Craig Harris, I'm County Commissioner of Rutherford County. One of the reasons I ran for office is because I wanted to bring awareness to the opioid epidemic that's impacting our county. To stop providing this epidemic with people as we educate them. We have a lot to do, and we have to come together as a community because this problem's not going away.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome in. Chip Walters with you from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates and the Blue Raider Network. And proud to have a return guest. I don't know if this is your third time or fourth time, but Brad Willis, the executive director of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, is with us. So,
good morning.
Do you have any idea? Is it three?
I think it's four.
Four?
I think it's four.
I think it is too. And it's kind of like the Swallows coming back to Capistrano and about here in the late April or mid-April. Brad comes in. We talk about the upcoming class of 2026, which this year has a Murfreesboro flavor to it that we will talk about as we go along. To get started today, though, one of the other things that you have done for the last, gosh, I don't know how many years, is you have been part of Titans Radio as a spotter for Mike Keith. And obviously there was news that came out on the death of Dave McGinnis, the longtime analyst and, longtime NFL coach. But just kind of stunned everybody because he was so full of life. And for that to come to an end, obviously caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah, it did. We're really sad, obviously, that Coach Mac's not with us anymore. He's going to be missed, and you know better than anybody, in terms of working with a radio network and those people that are right there with you. I mean, you become family, and you spend a lot of time with those folks traveling and on the road, and you enjoy what you do. And Coach Mac was really one of a kind in that. He joined us in 2017, about 4 days before the first preseason game.
It seems like he was there longer.
I know, it's crazy. He called games for 9 years, and when he got his wheels down here in Middle Tennessee and in Nashville, he just instantly became a fan favorite. And a lot of it came down to the fact that he was so authentic and he was so just himself from day one. He was West Texas through and through. Mm-hmm. He loved ball, and he was a great ambassador for the Titans, great ambassador for Titans Radio, and we're all going to miss him a lot.
Yeah, and of all the things he says, the one that always comes to my mind is intercontinental, and a play that goes from one sideline to the other. He ran an intercontinental route, and I've kind of pulled that because I'm not afraid to steal something.
Sure.
And little tidbits here and there. But I thought, what a great way to describe that. And he gave it to you. Obviously, he gave you the football lingo, but he gave it to you. He understood that his audience was not football people.
Right.
It was everyday guys who were working at Nissan and are really, dyed in the wool and Titans fans, and he brought that to them.
He never thought that anybody was beneath learning the game, in the sense that he thought anybody could be taught, the basic fundamentals. I remember when he first started, he started talking about 12 personnel, and I said to him, I'm like, an average listener is probably not going to know what 12 personnel is, so you might want to describe it. And he had this great way of kind of saying, like, all right, so the first number is the running backs, the second number is the tight ends, and then whoever's left's the wide receivers. And so he'd just quiz you, 12 personnel, how many wide receivers?
Yeah,
Go.
And those two numbers plus whatever's left has got to add up to 5.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So that's how all that worked. But our thoughts to his family and to those who became part of his family here in the Mid-State. So, speaking of that, you spent this past season with Mike Keith in Knoxville and took your binoculars your binoculars in your tennis shoes and your collection of tennis shoes on the road with Mike. Yeah. And how did that go?
It was great. It was a really good experience in the sense that I'd never been to any SEC stadiums except for Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Yeah. Part of that being that the last 25 years done Titans games, we really haven't been around that much. But this year getting to go to Florida and to Kentucky and then Alabama and Mississippi State, and obviously Mississippi State's got a great atmosphere, and it was great to see all those. And it's funny because the game day crew that's doing the games with Mike now is a large number of people who had been doing Titans games together for years. And so you talk about that that family connection. It really felt like that we were kind of doing the same thing, just in a different backdrop.
But you and Philip Noel, and
that's right.
I mean, and Mike and
Larry Stone joined us, and Larry was part of the Titans network from the inception all the way up until 2013. So it was great to kind of be around the guys and just kind of again do a similar job, but do it with a different backdrop and kind of a different feel. It was a lot of fun.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had a good time with it, and I knew you would. But your day job is with the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and this time of year you're putting together your class, and I think you've got them all out there now, right? Or
we have one.
Have one remaining.
We have one that's lingering, and if all comes together by this Friday, we will have announced all 15 members. Okay. So it's a challenge sometimes just getting everybody announced, and I think that's probably some of that challenge falls on me because in the beginning I said I didn't want to just issue a press release and say, well, these are the 10, 15 names. I really wanted to kind of try to reach out to people and make connections, and so sometimes I've backed myself into corners that take a little time to work out, but 14 out of 15 we've announced so far, and we're really excited about the group that we've got, and just looking forward to a great event this summer.
Yep, and to not bury the lead here, as far as we're concerned, here in Murfreesboro, David Price, the Blackman basketball and football, he didn't play football. He played baseball and basketball, and but of course baseball was what he made a living at, and we'll hear from Kermit Davis in a little bit, and he'll talk a little bit about David, but Kermit Davis, back in February when the 2016 team came back for their 10th anniversary of beating Michigan State, you were able to surprise him, but with the announcement that he was going to be part of the class of 2026, and for this, not every town in the state is going to have two guys tied to it or gals that will go in, and so this is a big deal this year with those two guys in particular.
Yeah, two individuals who mean a lot to Murfreesboro and to the Mid-State, and obviously to their sport. When you talk about what Coach Davis meant to MTSU men's basketball, it's incredible. And obviously, David, went on from his roots here in Murfreesboro to become a Cy Young winner and a World Series champion, and really become one of baseball's best pitchers. And so, two stories that are incredibly deserving, and we're really excited that they're both part of this year's class.
So I know, obviously, I know where you found where you got Kermit. How did you spring the news on David Price?
We actually got Coach Corbin to tell him in Kansas at the College Baseball Hall of Fame induction, and so we really Coach Corbin. We inducted him in 2020, and he's been such a great ambassador for what we do. Just a solid human being who really is just at the top in terms of his profession, but also at the top in terms of just absolute human beings who operate the right way. And so we reached out to him and said, hey, one of your players is going in. We really like you to help us. And he said, just tell me what I need to do. And so he was out in Kansas and celebrating David's induction for the College Baseball Hall of Fame, and he helped us spring the news.
Yeah. Well, it's no secret that Chris Massaro has been on your board for quite some time, and you have board members from all across the state. Every major university just about has some representation, which every year makes this class so good from, as I like to say, from Mountain City to Memphis, and is so well represented of each Grand Division and across the state. So obviously he went to bat for Coach Davis and put that in there, especially with it being the 10th anniversary of the 2016 team, and obviously it's easy to figure out where David Price where that came from out of Nashville. Now the other one of my great friends that I'm really proud of is Pete Weber going in, the longtime radio voice, Max Hers is in there now, on road games, but Pete has been the guy, and he and Terry Crisp taught Middle Tennesseans what hockey was all about, and there is no limit to the amount of credit that those two guys should get for the success of the Nashville Predators.
You're exactly right. I mean, when you talk about Smashville, as it's called, it in large part the responsibility is shared by Pete and Terry. I mean, they taught the game to this region when people didn't understand what icing or an offside or anything was. And there were those early days where they were kind of teaching the sport to people, and now what you're seeing is 26, 27 years later, it's a generational game. So those people who were kids are now bringing their kids, and they've lived it. And so now we've got this generation who never know what life is like without professional hockey in the state of Tennessee. And Pete and Terry were absolutely instrumental in that. And I think the world of Pete and what he's accomplished in his career. And but he is absolutely. Just one of these that you identify with the organization, and his voice is synonymous with the Nashville Predators.
Now, what's crazy is my relationship with Pete goes back before he ever moved to Nashville. When he was in Buffalo with the minor league team, the Buffalo Bisons, and I spent 3 summers right out of college working with Bob Jameson, doing the Sounds games, and Pete, of all the guys who came in from all around the league, from Louisville and Oklahoma City and wherever, or in the American Association at that time, Pete was the guy, and he became friends with everybody. And Buffalo would come to town, and I'd get a call from Bob, hey, we're going to do pizza after the game at my house with Pete, and Greg Brown was his guy at that time that worked with him, and Greg is now the lead guy for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and so Pete would. If they came in here in August, he had duties with the Buffalo Bills network, and so it seemed like there was always a game with Buffalo and the Sounds that would fall at the same time as a Bills preseason game. And so when he would do that, he would recruit me, and I would do the Bison's broadcast back to Buffalo.
Oh, wow.
For him, which was a lot of fun, and so we've been pals ever since, and he is so well deserving of going in.
He is, and you talk about someone with just encyclopedic knowledge, not just of hockey, but sports. I mean, you start asking questions about specific stats and players, and it's hard to ask Pete Weber one where he doesn't know the answer. I mean, just incredible.
He is the. I'll tell you, the two guys that were friends of mine that knew more sports across the board than anybody is Pete and Mark Howard.
Yeah,
Mark Howard was the other, and so heck, and we lost Mark way too early.
Yeah.
But
22.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's been 4 years. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. One more before we get the break in as we go through this class of 2026. By the way, they will be inducted July 11th at the Omni Nashville downtown, and so that is it's a really good event, and it moves quick with 15 plus. Well, it ends up being about 20 different people who get recognized, but Ron Mercer, CPA, Kentucky, NBA.
Yeah.
And, one of the most electrifying high school basketball players I can ever remember in Tennessee.
Yeah, and just one that, it's great when we can tell these stories of Tennessee natives. A lot of times we end up with stories, especially when it ends up with being someone who played professionally, where they have no connection to here except for the fact that they played here, and Ron being a Nashville native, national champion at Kentucky, SEC player of the year, top NBA draft pick, and had a great pro career, really one of the top NBA players to come out of Tennessee all time, and just a dominant player in his time around here.
And through high school, he and Drew Maddox will forever be unseparated.
Yeah.
And when it came time, for them to go to college, Drew followed his family tradition and went to Vanderbilt, and Ron went to Kentucky. And where did he end up with the Celtics?
Yes, Celtics drafted him. Yep.
Yeah. So, he was something else. Speaking of basketball, and one of the all-time greats, Jennifer Azzi out of Oak Ridge. When I think about in my era of growing up, who was some of the great players across this state, and Kim Webb from Smyrna jumped out. Sheila Frost from Pulaski jumped out. You had, from your hometown, you had some of Fred Shelton's girls,
Dottie
Kelso at Lewisburg, and then there was Jennifer Azzi, who kind of took it to a whole new level, playing for Oak Ridge, and then went on to her career at Stanford.
Yes, and led Stanford to a national title, National Player of the Year, won a gold medal in the Olympics. She went on to have a good WNBA career, and she's made a life out of being a basketball executive. It's funny, I saw, and I didn't realize this story until 2 days ago, I guess, or maybe even yesterday, that the number one overall pick in the WNBA draft is a girl named Azzi Fudd, who's named after Jennifer Azzi.
Yeah, her first name is spelled Azzi.
Yep, and so she's named after Jennifer Azzi because her mother was such a fan of how Jennifer Azzi played basketball. So she's someone who made a lot of impact, and Oak Ridge is obviously proud of everything that she's done.
All right, let's stick with basketball right here, and here's one of those that 20 years ago we would never see his name in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and that's Marc Gasol.
Yeah,
but because of the Grizzlies and pro basketball coming to Memphis, Marc Gasol, I think when you think of the all-time great Grizzlies, Marc Gasol, is going to be right there.
And Mark's a really interesting story. You know, obviously he was a big part of that grit and grind era. He was
at the grindhouse.
That's right. He was a defensive player of the year and an all-star, and ended up winning an NBA championship after he moved on. And clearly he's one of the most impactful players in Grizzlies history. The great story about Mark is that his older brother Paul Gasol was one of the first teams in Memphis, the 2001 team, and so Mark ended up playing his high school basketball in Memphis. So he grew
That's
up.
right. He played at Lausanne.
Lausanne, yes. And I
think he played in the state tournament over here.
He did, and he was a Mr. Basketball for the state of Tennessee. So it's really interesting that his story goes back even further. As a guy who's a native of Barcelona, Spain, and yet he still has a lot of impact.
I wouldn't have thought about the high school connection until you brought that up, but that's really what sells the story to me.
I think so.
Is not just his career with the Grizzlies, but that he actually started his basketball comeuppance. Playing high school basketball here in this state.
Yeah, it's really it's probably a pretty unique story because you don't see that happen a lot, especially an international player like Mark.
Yeah. Let's talk a little football here, and in just about every year there's going to be several great college players, and one of the all-time great running backs at the University of Tennessee, Reggie Cobb. I can still hear John Reginald Cobb.
Reginald, yes.
But Reggie Cobb going in.
Reggie Cobb. Talk about someone gone too soon. He passed away in 2019, just before the NFL draft. He was working as a scout for the San Francisco 49ers, and the 49ers have actually gone on to honor his memory with a Scout of the Year award that they give out every year. He was a consensus All-American at Tennessee, played running back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and a handful of other organizations. Just really had a kind of an elite skill level and had a great impact on the game. It's cool, and we'll talk about a couple others, but there are a handful of players who all kind of came through Tennessee at the same time, and they all ended up professionally. A couple of them ended up with the same squad, and so it'll be a great opportunity when we have our banquet for a couple of them to get together, and obviously Reggie's family will be there representing him.
Well, and you think about his time when Chuck Webb was there at the same time.
Yeah.
The cobweb connections. Well, speaking of others in that era, Antone Davis.
Yeah, Antone, unanimous All-American, top 10 NFL draft pick, went on to have a really strong career. He's super excited. I got to talk to him a couple of weeks ago, and it's funny because a lot of our inductees have been put into several halls of fame, and so by the time we get to put them in, because of our bylaws and things like that, how long it takes, sometimes they've had the Hall of Fame experience. Mm-hmm. Antone is one that I think it really kind of lands for him, that he's excited, and it's a unique experience for him, and again, going back to the idea that that Reggie's going to be honored as part of this class as well, I think he's pretty excited about it.
And also Charles McCray.
And Charles McCray being, kind of the complement to that. So, you have two tackles off of that team who blocked for Reggie Cobb and went, I believe, 7-8 in terms of the NFL draft that year. Charles was a star there at Tennessee, went on to have a great career as a healthcare executive, and really a great example of just hard work. And so those two guys drafted back-to-back, and he ended up playing, Charles did, for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and Reggie ended up playing for the Tampa Bay Bucks. So there was a lot of connection there once they all made it to the pro game.
All right, we're talking about the class of 2026 of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and Brad Willis, the executive director, is our guest. We've made quite a dent into this year's class. We'll take a break. Coming up more, we'll dive through the rest of the class in our next segment right here on the Big G WGNS.
When it comes to your child's health,
You want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you.
Every step of the way.
Well, yeah, I'll be right there.
It takes all of us to power a community, both in plain sight and behind the scenes. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
Hey folks, it's Chip Walters from Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, helping Middle Tennessee make smart moves in a fast-moving market. Whether you're buying, selling, or just exploring your options, you deserve someone who knows this community and treats your goals like their own. From first-timers to long-time homeowners, I'm here to guide you with clarity, confidence, and a steady hand. When you're ready to make the next move, start with someone you trust. Visit choosechip.net and let's make your 2026 move the right move.
What if opening a checking account came with a perk? At South Central Bank, our popular Green Tree checking account now comes with more added value. That's right, things like cell phone protection, telehealth, roadside assistance, fuel savings, and enhanced identity theft support are all part of Green Tree checking. No hassle, no stress, just perks for doing something you were going to do anyway. Stop by any South Central Bank branch or visit us online at southcentralbank.com. Banking with rewards. South Central Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
At the law offices of John Day, we take only real cases that make a real difference.
Dear John, I want you to know that I appreciate everything you have done so much. I know you went over and beyond, and that's why I just think the world of you. Thank you, Robert K.
My pleasure, Robert. If you're ever injured, know that we are here for you too. Call the law offices of John Day for a free consultation. And remember, there's no fee unless we win your case. Seriously injured? Call me, John Day.
Now, Good Neighbor Events. Here's Bart Walker.
The Rutherford County Heart Walk is this Saturday. The check-in is at 8 o'clock Saturday morning, and the walk begins at 9:30. That's at Murfreesboro Medical Clinic on Garrison Drive. Let's get behind the Heart Walk. You can register at rutherfordheartwalk.org. Again, the Heart Walk is this Saturday morning at Murfreesboro Medical Clinic. Thursday of next week, not this week, but next week, April 23rd, the Tennessee Philharmonic's final concert of the 44th season, Rhapsody in Red, White, and Blue, a celebration of 250 years of America. Get your tickets online now through the Tennessee Philharmonic Orchestra. Again, that's Thursday of next week, April 23rd, 7 o'clock at Bel Air Baptist Church. There's a free grief support group meeting every Wednesday morning at 10 over at the St. Clair Senior Center here in Murfreesboro. That's at 325 St. Clair Street in Murfreesboro. That's every Wednesday morning at 10. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor Events.
Rutherford weather.
Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Today with a high of 86. Lows dip down to about 63. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Right now, it's 70 degrees.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. Since 1936, MTE has provided the reliable service and peace of mind we count on. Manage your account anytime at MTE.com or through the My MTE app.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back, and Brad Willis, the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, is our guest today. We're talking about the class of 2026, and we have put a pretty good dent in what we were talking about. But and there's always great stories. I mean, it's easy. Like, David Price is easy.
Sure.
Reggie Cobb,
no
Kermit Davis. Those are easy. But then there are others who have achieved so highly in outside of the stick and ball, and outside of what may be the mainstream, and that's one of the things. We'll get into some of those, but just kind of going through the rest of the list, and some of these names are not going to be quite as everyday mentions, but again, they have great stories, and even, like, to me, there's some on here I'm not quite sure who they are, but that's why you're here.
That's why.
So let's talk about Monica Abbott.
Yeah, Monica Abbott, one of the greatest softball pitchers ever. Olympic medalist, NCAA's all-time strikeout leader at Tennessee, really a dominant force internationally for Team USA. She had a lengthy professional softball career, and now she's kind of giving back. She's doing some teaching, she's doing some private coaching, she's been involved with some kind of upstart leagues and trying to really kind of get their traction going, and just a real ambassador for the game of softball, and we're really excited. She and her husband and their child, they live in Kansas City, so we've been kind of talking to them, and they're excited about coming in and reconnecting. And she played during the era of Ralph and Karen Weekly when they were both kind of co-coaching there at Tennessee, and she's got a great relationship with the Weekleys, and so really excited to come back and be a part of our event.
Yep. So very well deserving. Matt Cain.
Matt Cain is a Germantown native. Grew up in Germantown. Played at Houston High School. 3-time World Series champion. One of those rare perfect game throwers in MLB history, and really was a cornerstone of that Giants run of success in the early 2000s. Really one of the most reliable pitchers of his era. And it's funny, talk about the perfect game. He played in the NL during the time where pitchers
had to hit.
He said he actually got a hit and helped his own cause that day in the midst of a perfect game. So just a great story in terms of how he really dug into that community out there, and he and his family with their roots here in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah. And where did he play college ball or not, or did he sign out of high school?
So he signed with Memphis, but then he got drafted and immediately went to the minors, and so he never ended up playing college baseball.
Yep. So and again, it's so interesting. Well, obviously now you think 5 years ago, the landscape was totally different. I mean, and certainly 25 years ago, it was. Here's a guy that if you're a motorhead, the guy. If you're a race fan, you know who Jerry Caldwell is.
You do, and you've seen the kind of the proof of his work at Bristol Motor Speedway, where he's really transformed that place into a national sports destination. I mean, he's got a great team of people, and they're really leading everything from NASCAR to record-setting events like the Battle at Bristol and the Braves game that was obviously hampered by weather, but still drew an incredible crowd out there last year. Really one of the most innovative executives in motorsports, and a great story in the sense that he started there as an intern and he worked his way up to president and general manager of the track, and so a long-time contributor to the success of motorsports in the state of Tennessee.
Now you've had a chance to sit down and talk with him.
Yes.
And Bristol is owned. That is owned by Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is Speedway Motorsports, which comes from the Humpy Wheeler, Bruton Smith tree. He so you would almost expect nothing less than crazy ideas that become huge hits.
Right.
Because you had the Tennessee Virginia Tech football game, which you talked about. The thought of playing a major league game, a regular season major league game that counted.
Yes.
In the middle of a racetrack was laughable.
Yeah.
But what happened? They pulled it off.
And then they've also leaned into the history of racing and turning Bristol into a dirt track for the spring race,
which I am so glad they went away from that. that was one experiment that I was not the biggest fan of. Because I just like Bristol as Bristol.
Sure.
And what it is, but Jerry Caldwell, great. That's a really great add to the Hall of Fame, and in Tennessee, you think about Tennessee, North Carolina, Alabama, maybe Georgia, are great states where their sports Hall of Fames probably have a good deal of racing involved.
Sure, yeah,
and that's something that you all have embraced, and I think race fans embrace. You're embracing of it.
Yeah, so. You mentioned Bruton Smith, and then we've got great drivers like Darrell Waltrip and Sterling Marlin, and the history of motorsports in our state just kind of continues to grow, and it's Speedway Motorsports with Bristol and Nashville Super Speedway kind of continue to kind of tell that story.
Yeah, Sterling was the Grand Marshal of the Mule Day Parade last weekend.
I saw that,
and he's had some health challenges, but great to see him do that. I think the last one here out of the class is Mike Clary.
Mike Clary, and Mike's a great story out of West Tennessee. Spent over 4 decades at Rhodes College, building championship programs across multiple sports.
Rhodes College, formerly known as?
Oh gosh, you're going to put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Tell me. I'm going to draw.
Southwestern at Memphis.
Thank you.
Sam.
Thank you. Yes. I knew I was going to pull a complete blank on that. But yeah, three national titles in women's golf. One of the most real impactful leaders of Division III athletics. And just really excited. We don't have a lot of Rhodes College representation, and he was one that was nominated.
That was a great opportunity.
Great opportunity, and a guy who's really meant so much to their athletic programs.
And again, you have one more that we will probably know about on Friday.
We're really anticipating that Friday around lunchtime we're going to announce our final inductee, and so
it's a good one.
It's a good one. Yeah. It's every year. You and I were talking last year, and it was like, oh, there's one more that's out there. How are we going to get to it? Maybe it was 2 years ago, and it was it was Pecorine, and it's like he was out of the country, and how do you ever get him in town? And so there's always one that's a little hard to pin down, but we're excited about this one that will roll out Friday.
Yep, and in addition to the class, you have several other awards. Have they been announced?
They haven't. So we have a board meeting on the 5th of May, and the board will determine that. I will give a little bit of a sneak peek. We may not be done with Murfreesboro.
Oh.
We may not be done with Murfreesboro. So we'll name our Tennessean of the Year, and we'll name our Pat Summitt Lifetime Achievement Award winner, and our David Williams Significant Historical Achievement. We have awards for pro athlete and team, and individual, like male and female amateur athlete of the year. And so we may not be done with Murfreesboro quite yet.
I'm going to write something down here,
okay.
And during the break, I'm going to ask if I'm correct on my guess.
You might be.
So we'll be doing that.
It's a little morsel. We could just We'll know for sure in a little less than a month.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. But those awards, Tennessean of the Year, presented by the Tennessee Lottery, who was it last year?
Last year was Barry Wilmore.
Okay, I was going to say that was I thought that was correct, and I thought if it wasn't him last year, it needed to be.
Should have been.
If he needed to be this year. Pat Summitt Lifetime Achievement Award. You got Professional Athlete of the Year, Professional Team of the Year, Female Amateur Athlete of the Year, and Male Amateur Athlete of the Year. Then you have the Male Amateur Team of the Year, and then the Female Amateur Team of the Year, and that always works out to you go back and you think who had a lot of success over the past year, and sometimes it's not who jumps up there at you.
You're right.
I mean, like I think it was like Union University's women's team that won a national championship. That's right. They were like Freed Hardeman had a men's team that won
2 years ago.
Yeah, and so there's and you think about the width and breadth of sports, and when it's an amateur does not only mean college.
You're right.
There are, if you have at some point there may be a dominant high school program who has done a lot of stuff.
It's happened.
It has happened over there.
Right.
So it could happen again.
Part of the reason that we wait until April is we try to let the basketball tournaments kind of finish up, and any national champions potentially get determined, and so we typically meet right after the Final Four and go through these, and it's always a really fun kind of look back at what's happened over the last 12 to 15 months in the state of Tennessee.
All right, Brad Willis is our guest. He is the executive director of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. When we come back, you're going to hear from Kermit Davis. He is going to be going in the class of 2026, and we'll also talk about the exciting future of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. All of that after this, here on the Big G, WGNS.
When it comes to your child's health, you want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
Here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you.
Every step of the way.
If I had to rate the office of John Day,
I would definitely give him a 5-star rating.
a 20 stars.
Probably like 100 stars. John Day's office was wonderful.
They are caring.
Call the law offices of John Day.
I would recommend them to everyone.
Over 1,000 times a year, a lawyer refers someone who needs help in a personal injury or wrongful death case to us because we treat every referral in a timely, professional way. Trust the lawyers other lawyers trust. Trust the law offices of John Day.
When the weather turns bad, minutes, even seconds matter.
This is an early heads up for southern Rutherford County.
Rutherford Weather brings you live radar and expert meteorologist insight, giving you the early heads up when storms threaten.
A lot of areas are going to see some impacts from this storm.
From analysis to live camera views, we keep you informed before, during, and after the storm.
I think the vast majority of the hail with this now is going to be quarter to perhaps golf ball size.
Rutherford Weather. Stay ahead of the storm.
First Shot transforms Rutherford County youth. Coach Andy Herzer leads dynamic basketball camps and clinics, building skills and character since 2003. Kids dive into exciting STEM projects, sparking creativity through hands-on coding, art, and dance. They elevate their mind, spirit, and body in summer and winter programs. Visit FirstShotTN.org today to learn more. First Shot, where kids gain, elevate, and develop.
Local farmers, local meats, vegetables, and other produce at the Winter Spring Rutherford County Farmers Market.
Bundle up and make your way every Friday at Lane Agri Park.
Listen up, Rutherford County. Join the Crypto Learning Center Tuesday, April 21st at 6 p.m. for barbecue and crypto. It's happening at the Holiday Inn Grand Ballroom in Murfreesboro. Enjoy a free barbecue dinner from Slick Pig while also learning about cryptocurrency. No pressure, no obligation. They're giving away over $500 in crypto, and the first 25 people to register and attend are guaranteed free crypto in hand. Seating is limited. Register now. GetHonestMoney.com. That's GetHonestMoney.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brad Willis, the guest, as we talk Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and we have gone through the class of 2026, which includes a Murfreesboro flavor for sure with David Price, the great baseball player out of Blackman High School in Vanderbilt, and of course Kermit Davis, the all-time winningest men's coach at Middle Tennessee, and the architect of one of the all-time great NCAA tournament wins against Michigan State. Had a chance to get with him on the phone yesterday and talked about how Brad surprised him back in February.
Well, it was, Chip, and it was a total surprise, and it couldn't have happened in a better place. One of my favorite places in my lifetime, Murphy Center, around a lot of people that I love and care about dearly. So it was a great honor. And like everybody says, and I truly mean it, just, you credit all the players and coaches and administration and fans along the way. And so, yeah, it was a great moment for myself and our family.
Well, and speaking of your family, am I correct? Your dad went in the Mississippi Hall of Fame a year or two ago, and that's got to be a little point of personal pride within your family that he's in the Mississippi Hall of Fame and you'll be in the Tennessee Hall of Fame.
Yep, you're right, Chip. And, Dad, we celebrated, I think it was 3 years ago, in the Mississippi Hall of Fame. I know how much it meant to him. And I'll say it, Dad's in a memory care facility now. He's doing great. His health is good, but probably won't be able to make it. And that'll be the only, thing that'll be kind of a little hole in the induction into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Because number one, Chip, of all the places I coached, and I mean this, Murfreesboro was his favorite place. He still to today, I'll get him on the phone with Coach Earl when he's there, and they'll talk a little bit, and he just talks about the people and how much fun he had there.
Well, he was always so gracious to Kyle and myself, and that was always fun. But and it's kind of cool this year, this class that the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame has put together between you and David Price. It has a pretty good Murfreesboro flavor.
I offered David Price a scholarship at Middle Tennessee, played at Blackman, was a really good high school player. I think he made the right decision. What you think, Chip? I think he did okay. but I did. He was 6'6" and really good. He came to team camp, and I said, this guy right here is a good player. I think he's a mid-major basketball player. Then they said, you seen him pitch? I said, no, not yet. And I did go out there one day out at Blackman. I watched him throw for about an inning. I said, he don't need to be messing with basketball. So, yeah, he's a great family, and what a career. And, yeah, you're right. It's a great class and to be going in with.
See, that's one of the real great stories right there and I'll tell you, the first time I ever laid eyes on David Price was not on a baseball field, was the Region 4 tournament was played at Murphy Center back before they shifted the regions around, and that region, they wanted to kind of get a leg up and get whoever came out of their region to be used to playing in the larger arena and different depth perception, and he came out there, man, he was a really good high school basketball player, but I think Kermit, of course, is correct. David made the right choice.
Yeah, it turned out okay for him. Yeah. Cy Young winner and World Series champion. He's scratching
by.
I think he made it. Yeah. It's funny you mention that because you see these guys in high school, and there's always, not always, but you see a kid that stands out so obviously from the rest that it's like this kid could make it like at the next level. I mean, and it's almost sickening for somebody like me who's never really been athletic, but you see them and they can just play everything. They play baseball, they play football, they play basketball, and just natural can step up and grab a golf club never having swung it and drive 280. It's just it's impressive.
Well, in a point, I remember seeing Reggie White play for Chattanooga Howard in the state tournament over here, and just a man among boys.
Sure.
And then you had the the Pearl Cone team with Ron Slay and
John Henderson.
Big John. And they played White County in the finals in Sparta with Brent Jolly. Ended up beating them in the state finals by a point or something. But to see, a guy like John Henderson or Reggie White in a basketball uniform, baseball and basketball players kind of look alike a little bit. They're kind of long and lean, but not Reggie White and John Henderson. They fill up a basketball.
Stand out for sure.
Okay. The Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame for years had a physical location within Bridgestone Arena. As we're within a year now of the new Nissan Stadium opening, being the keys handed over to Amy Adams Strunk. And that's going to be the new physical home for the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame will be at the new Nissan Stadium. Kind of fill us in on where we are.
It's really exciting. We're going to be accessible from the outside. We're going to be on that west side that's going to be facing downtown and the river. You're going to be able to buses are going to be able to pull up and drop off school kids and have them come through our space. We're going to be adjacent to the Titans Pro Shop, adjacent to the west entrance, where I understand probably 70% of people will enter for concerts and big events because of the way that the building is situated. We're going to have 10,000 square feet of exhibit space.
How does that compare to what you had at Bridgestone?
We had about 7,000 at Bridgestone. The great part that we're kind of working in concert with the Titans on is that they're gonna dedicate some space to telling the Titans story, probably to the tune of about 4,000 square feet. And when you tour the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, you'll be able to tour both. And so it's going to all end up being 14 or 15,000 square feet of experiential and of space. And I say that because we walk the line between reverential and experiential with a Hall of Fame. But we want people to be able to come in and kind of see things that are tangible they can touch and feel, and shoot a basketball and see how far they could throw a football on a virtual setting, and in the meantime really learn the stories.
You have a race simulator.
We hope to have a race simulator.
There you go.
There's so many things that are kind of in the works, and the building, if you drive by the stadium, it just looks more and more complete every day. It's 75% roughly at this point. And so our space, once they kind of finish some of the things around it, we'll be able to get in there and really start kind of building out our space and our experience. And we couldn't be more appreciative for the opportunity to be there and looking forward to having that space early next year.
Yeah, when you're looking at timelines, obviously the next thing that's going to have to happen once that building is complete, the old stadium is going to have to come down.
Yeah.
So
we're going to have a bird's eye view for that.
No question. You're going to be right out your front door, and as you face the west, you'll be facing the old stadium, and you'll be facing the old pro shop over there.
That's right.
And so what are they? What is the talk of? How long will the demolition process take after this coming season?
Well,
because I guess they'll start
pretty quickly
as soon as the season's over.
They'll start pretty quickly, and the west side of the stadium.
That'll give them like 7-8 months before to get it down before the 27 football season.
I keep hearing 6 months, but I don't know if that's kind of just a bit of an approximation. The west side is easy. You could implode the west side.
Yeah.
The east side, which is facing the new stadium,
you got to be a little careful.
Got to be careful. You're only about 50 feet away from glass walls, so you can't exactly implode the east side. So that's going to be a controlled demolition. We'll have, like I said, a bird's eye view of it, and so when it's gone, it's really going to transform, and you're going to start to see that east bank really kind of come together and build around the new Nissan Stadium. And like I said, we're thrilled to be there.
Well, and once once all of that happens and that gets redone, the access to get to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame is going to be so much easier,
absolutely,
than it has been. And I'm still kind of interested in what's going to be the first event in the new stadium. Jelly Roll keeps
throwing his name out there.
And I'm guessing the 2027 CMA Fest will be It'll be in the new stadium.
They'll have some events. Obviously, football won't be the first thing they host. The stadium is expected to be completed in February of 2027. When does it open to the general public? Probably somewhere around that time. Obviously, we're on goal to be open at the same time as the stadium, and we're really excited about everything that will the stadium itself will be a tourist destination for many years, where people just want to say that they've seen it and been in it, and so we're just thrilled to be there and really excited. We've got some renderings that are almost complete that we can start to share with the public, and I think when people see what we're trying to do in terms of how we're going to tell the story of the state of Tennessee and the sports that make it up, and then the people that make up those sports, I think people will be really excited.
Well, the old place was nice.
Yes.
And how much different will the experience of being able to go into the new brick and mortar Hall of Fame as opposed to the old one? It's
going to be, first of all, you talk about a space that was built in 2000 versus a space that will be built in 2026 and 2027. We had a lot of what you'd call static displays, glass cases, here's a jersey, and obviously technology is going to allow us to do a lot more things now where people can come in and be hands-on. It will allow our story to kind of evolve with the story of the state of Tennessee, because oftentimes, when we built our space in 2000, there were still things that remain 20 years later that hadn't changed at all. And so it's really going to give us a great opportunity. And then furthermore, as great as our space was at Bridgestone Arena, sometimes you had to look for it to find it, and that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, you're front and center. And you'll have an entrance directly in from the outside of the building.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those things that it's glass walls, and you're going to be able to kind of see a little bit into the space and get an understanding of what we're doing. And so it's there's so many great stories to tell.
Now, as you drive, you drive by the new stadium and all that. It's going to be a kind of an everyday focal point with retail and food and things like that.
Yes,
it's not going to be go to the stadium just for games or whatever. It's going to be a focal point of the East Bank.
You're spot on, and that's what a lot of NFL teams are doing these days. They're making sure that their building isn't just open 10 days a year, for the sake of general public. And I think that new Nissan Stadium will really be something that there are just going to be events and not just concerts and WrestleMania and all those kinds of things, but community events and things like that happening there all the time.
All right, Brad, thanks so much for coming by. It's always a pleasure. We always have a good time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, Brad Willis is our guest today, and we're talking the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. That's it. We'll have another episode coming up next week right here on the Big G, WGNS.